Hi everybody, Jeremy Siskind here. I'm the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano, Solo Standards for Piano, and a whole bunch of jazz piano fundamentals books. 3 levels um, can get you from the very beginning of your jazz piano journey to kind of more advanced, interesting things. I was not going to say interesting because I don't want to imply that anything's not interesting. But hey, let's be honest. The more advanced you get, the more interesting it gets. So today I want to. So it's the summer. And the summer for me, and I think for all of my students traditionally, you think you're going to get so much done, especially if you're in the academic world and you're off for the summer. But for me, it's always been so hard to retain focus. And I think partially it's because we have so many goals when I have time, I'm going to transcribe. When I have time, I'm going to work on my scales. When I have time, I'm going to learn a bunch of tunes. And then you sit down at the piano. I bet you guys have had this experience if you're anything like me. You sit down to practice and you're like, ah, I don't know where to start. And you end up totally wasting your time because all of your goals are kind of too big to get done in that sort of, and in your practice session. And then you feel bad and then it spirals because the piano feels like a place that feels bad. And then it just it sucks, right? Is this feeling familiar? I don't claim that I can solve it for you, but I do have a tip and a resource, and that is to use a practice journal. Okay, so a practice journal is where you keep track of your practicing. But the very important thing that I want to tell you is not to practice and then write down what you want to practice. Instead, you want to use your practice journal maybe more accurately as a practice planner. You want to plan out your practice session ahead of time so that when you sit down at the piano, you don't have all your head swimming with, oh, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to do, here's what I want to do. You say, okay, here's the handful of things that I want to accomplish today. And then as you move through the week or move through the month, you can kind of fit things together so that you do accomplish those big goals, right? I had a really wise kind of career life coach person tell me what feels good at the end of the day is accomplishing small goals towards a big project. And the practice planner is a tool that can help you do that and feel that. So I want to show you a format for practice planning, kind of based on how I think about practicing. I'm going to show you how to fill out a couple of days, given a couple of different ideas, and then I'll make sure that it's available for you for free as a PDF. Okay, so here's my little practice journal format. And you can see I have it divided into 4 categories, and some of these categories have more than one item. And then I put a couple of columns in for goal, tempo, and then the amount of time. And let me make this screen look just a little bit better because I was lazy as it loaded. So 1, 2, 3. All right, much cleaner looking. I'm a professional. Okay, so let's talk about these categories, and I'll give you a couple of examples of planning out a practice session. And again, I can't stress this enough. I would do this before you sit down at the piano. And then if you do everything in your session, you feel really good at the end. You say, hey, I accomplished my goals for today. Whereas if your goals are kind of up in the air, you don't have clear goals other than to be really good at piano, at the end of your practice session, you're still probably not going to be really good at piano. It can help you just create a positive spiral in work. All right, so the first thing is category 1, fundamentals. When I think about fundamentals practice, I'm thinking about something that is going to ripple throughout everything that you do musically. And classic examples of this would be sight reading, ear training, theory, fingering, two-handed coordination, etc. Maybe there's a particular technical problem. Maybe it's working on your 4th and 5th finger. That's always difficult. Or maybe arpeggios have just always been difficult for you, right? This could be part of your fundamentals practice. And I would usually probably end up measuring this in time. So let's say that I want to work on my sight reading. And I say I'm going to open my practice by sight reading. I like to use the book Journey Through the Classics. And my goal here is just to do 15 minutes of sight reading. And so I'm not really worried about a tempo. But this is really important. This is generally, I don't want to say it's the easiest part of practice, but I feel like it's tempting to stay here because it's a familiar side of practice. And so I take this time really seriously and I set a timer. And when the timer is done, I promise myself that I won't continue going on. Here's a nice plug for Journey Through the Classics. I don't get any kickback for that. Edited by Jennifer Lynn. There's 4 books plus a compilation of all 4 books. That's only like $20. It's a good sight reading resource, but there's other good ones out there. Okay, so second category I call out of context. So this is going to be something jazz related, but not playing the piece. So first classic example is working on 2-5-1 voicings or licks and all keys. So let's say I'm going to practice my 2-5-1 voicings, and I'm going to do the two-handed. That doesn't look good. I'm going to do the two-handed type A, B, 4 notes. And I'm going to work through just the keys of C, D flat, D, E flat. I'm going to try to really nail those. And I'm going to practice these at quarter note equals 120. And maybe about 10 minutes. You know, I'm doing 2 out of context exercises because there's a lot that we want to do out of context. But also because these can be kind of quicker. You know, we don't need to spend a ton of time on these. We just want to really reinforce some of those basics. And then I'm going to work on a scale pattern. I'm going to practice my scales in triads. And I'm just going to work on the key of A flat and B flat because those, let's say those come up in the piece that I'm playing. And that's going to be another 10 minutes. And I'm going to try to, you know, work this slow, starting at 80 to fast, going to 120 if I have enough time in 10 minutes. That's my goal. Maybe I won't reach it. All right, and then we get to tunes. You really want to practice tunes in your jazz practice. If you're imagining, like, here's a metaphor that may or may not be useful. Let's say that you're a basketball player and you want to get better at basketball. Okay, so your fundamentals might be like working in the weight room, or it might be shooting free throws, right? It would be doing, you know, something that is just going to, you know, improve your fundamentals. Maybe you're gonna run laps. You're gonna improve your stamina, right? Not even basketball related necessarily, but training your body. Second thing would be something very basketball related. Maybe you're running drills with the team, right? You're working on your pick and roll. You're working on a particular kind of bounce pass and cut. I kind of know basketball, but not really. And then category 3 is tunes. And these are going to be scrimmages, right? If you want to get ready to play a basketball game, there's no better way than just playing basketball games. Now, you might be doing this intentionally. I hope you'd be doing this intentionally, and you probably, most of you who are watching this, need some preparation to play in these scrimmages. And so in this category 3, we want to go ahead and actually play tunes. And so maybe you're going to, for the first category 3, you're going to write out your voicings. We'll do two-handed voicings. Two-handed for Take the A Train. And practice just blocking them out, meaning just holding the voicings. And we're going to keep this nice and slow. We're just going to work at 75. This is going to take a little bit longer. We got to write out all those voicings. I need to work on finding them in time. This is just getting us started, right? And then I want to do some improvising. So I'm going to improvise. Let's say I've been working on blues in F. So I'm going to improvise on a blues in F. Focusing on phrasing and using space. And I could play a blues in F, pretty confidently at 140. And in terms of times, I'm gonna do this with iReal Pro, and I'm gonna set it to 15 times. So that's probably gonna take 10, 15 minutes. Actually, a blues form is so short, that's going to take less, I, I would guess. And then category 4 is interacting with the recorded history of the music. So let's say that I'm learning how to sing a solo. I'm going to learn to sing one chorus. Since I'm working on Charlie Parker Blues in F, I'm going to learn to sing the first chorus of Charlie Parker's Now's the Time solo. That's going to take however long it takes, so the goal is one chorus. And let's say I'm going to estimate that's going to take me about 15 minutes. But it'll take however long it takes to get that memorized, So in total here, let's see, I've got 15, 25, 35, 55. The blues is probably only going to take 10 minutes, hour 5. So that's an hour 20. But I'm getting a lot done, right? And I'm going to, that's not empty calories. When I'm done with this, I'm going to feel like I really ate a good meal. I got my vitamins, right? Let's take another just unrelated practice session. Let's say it's 2 different people, 2 different days. So same format over here. I'm going to run through this one a little bit more quickly. So fundamentals, let's say just fingering and scale knowledge is a big issue. So I'm going to play the F and F sharp major scales. Hands separately. HS stands for hands separately. Focusing on fingering. And we're going to do this pretty slow, maybe from 90 to 110, really focusing in on fingering. And that's going to be 10 minutes. Out of context jazz, let's say I'm going to work on a 2-5-1 lick. Let's say I solo from a Hank Mobley solo, and I'm going to work on this lick in 3 keys until I really have it in 3 keys. That's not going to take so long. It's just going to be 10 minutes. But I want to make sure I got it really fast up to 160 in 3 keys, and I'm gonna do some useful keys: C, B flat, and F. And then let's see, out of context jazz, I'm going to practice improvising over a 2-5-1 in C. And I'm going to focus on arpeggios. And you might have, more detailed, I'm going to spend 15 minutes on this. We're going to do it pretty slow. You might have more detailed thoughts about how you want to practice these things, but you just want to put these broad strokes in the practice plan, right? And then category 3, tunes. Maybe what I actually want to do is I'm going to work on an arrangement. I'm a little bit more advanced. I'm working on a solo piano arrangement of My Funny Valentine. And I want to write and learn the first 2 A sections. And then my second thing with tunes is that I'm going to practice comping using push-offs. Notice I try to give myself a focus always, not just I'm going to play this, but what am I going to focus on? What am I going to add on There Will Never Be Another You? I'm going to do that with iReal Pro. I didn't give myself a time. It's probably going to take me 30 minutes, honestly, to work on that arrangement of My Funny Valentine, and maybe a little bit longer. So maybe, that's going to be the real important thing today. Just 10 minutes comping, and we'll do that at kind of a nice medium tempo. I don't know, 140. There won't really be a tempo for the arrangement of My Funny Valentine, right? And part of the idea with the tempo is that you can look back to make sure you see progress as you do similar things day after day. And then category 4, interacting with history. I want to, listen to Keith Jarrett playing a ballad. Let's say he's playing Someone to Watch Over Me. And I'm going to sit at the piano and I'm going to steal a couple of things that I like. And that seems fun to me. I'm going to do that for 25 minutes. and I'm just going to pause the recording and steal some things that I like to try to add them to my Funny Valentine arrangement. Okay, so that's kind of how I would go about planning these practice sessions. And by spending 5 minutes with that kind of plan, you're going to save yourself so much time, right? You're going to save yourself the time thinking, what did I do yesterday? What tempo was I at? Which keys have I done? Which keys have I not done? And you can use it for really strong goal planning. So I'm going to make it a point to put a PDF in the information. Feel free to yell at me in the comments if I don't. And if you made it this far, say something about having a plan. Thanks for watching, everybody. I will see you all soon. Bye.